is here. Nathan videotaped last time if you were here. He has a website and a YouTube page and all of that called Kentucky Cycling, and he's done a lot of really good work around cycling, and he's got a lot of really cool videos out there, so if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and do that. And I guess you'll be able to see this one. And Troy Bird's presentation from last time also is there. He wasn't here last year. This is Steve Lovan, and he is with LFUCG. He's going to give us an update on the transportation infrastructure projects in Lexington.
Thank you, Pam. I am a project engineer for the city of Lexington, and I'm going to talk to you today about two significant projects that are going on right now. I'm sure you're familiar with both the Town Branch Trail and the Legacy Trail, but I'm going to talk to you today about the next phases of both of those projects, and hopefully we'll be able to see some construction this year. So, the map's not great, but this is a map showing the Legacy Trail and the Town Branch and how they tie together. The Town Branch Trail goes from Massachusetts Station Park to Rupp Arena, and then we'll have a trail that goes from Rupp Arena to Midland at 3rd, called the Town Branch Commons. And then the Legacy Trail will go from Isaac Murphy out to the Kentucky Horse Park and hopefully eventually into Georgetown. So this is another map showing the three projects. The Town Branch Trail and the Town Branch Commons are following a lot of the history of Lexington. Lexington was settled around the Town Branch Creek, and it was it started where the Distillery District is, and we're trying to take advantage of that in the development of these two trail projects. And the interesting fact about the Legacy Trail is Isaac Murphy is an African-American jockey that won 3 Kentucky Derbies. He lived at the Isaac Murphy, in the vicinity of the Isaac Murphy Memorial Art Garden, and he is buried at the Kentucky Horse Park. So our trail connects those two events. A little bit of history about the Town Branch Trail. The first phase of the Town Branch Trail was constructed in 2005. It's located in the Mcdonald's Trace subdivision, in the back of the subdivision. It was the property that the trail is built on was donated to us by the developer, Dennis Anderson. And so he saw the benefit of having a trail in his neighborhood, and so he was very generous in giving us the land, and then we applied for funding to build the project. And the goal was always to bring the trail into downtown, and that's where we're working on now. But we crossed the Town Branch Creek multiple times. We're going to have 3 bridges on the Town Branch Trail. We have to cross the railroad tracks twice in order to get to downtown. We have completed all the environmental studies, and we have complete funding to get the trail into downtown. Like I said, a lot of the history of Lexington is along that trail, and so we're going through an industrial area as well. So we're going to have to construct these projects in phases. So the next 3 phases for the Town Branch Trail themselves are phases 3, 4, and 5. And actually there's 4 phases and 6. This summer we plan on constructing phases 3, 4, and 5. Phase 3 picks up at the end of the Town Branch Trail that's in Marehaven subdivision. It's going to follow the railroad tracks in the Town Branch Creek. R.J. Corman is also going to be building a rail yard, so we're going to be parallel to his rail yard, and we're going to be behind the detention center. So that's going to be sort of through a very rural area. It won't be visible from any road, so you're going to be basically going through the countryside. And we're going to cross the railroad tracks behind the BCTC campus. So this trail will be connecting BCTC. And then we're going to connect to Town Branch Phase 4. That phase goes underneath New Circle Road. It crosses the creek and the railroad. It comes out on the landfill. We're going to have the largest pedestrian bridge in Fayette County on this trail. You'll be able to see the trail from New Circle Road. We've got a unique design for this bridge, so we're real excited about that. Because we're coming up onto the old landfill that you can see from Old Frankfort Pike, that is a very high elevation, and you can see downtown Lexington. So it's going to be a very scenic ride, even though you're on a landfill and you're overlooking the Town Branch wastewater treatment plant. But you were trying to take advantage of what we got, but it is going to be a very unique ride, I think. So we're building an observation area. And we'll also have an observation area on the bridge itself, so you can step off of out of the way of the trail, and there'll be a little cutout that you'll be able to look at the creek in downtown Lexington. Then we're going into the Distillery District, and I feel like that this is going to be the most popular section because, as you know, the Distillery District is developing very fast. There's restaurants and breweries and music venues. And so the trail is going to be a way to get into that area. What we're going to do is we're taking the area between Manchester and the railroad tracks and creating a linear park. It's going to be all green space. And so all that industrial park that's between Norfolk Southern Overpass and primarily Forge Road, we will have all that as green space. We'll have a trailhead, we'll have parking, and it's all going to be converted to green. So I'm really excited about that. It'll be a way for people to access the Distillery District without getting into your car. Because we are in a very industrial area that's a very tight space, there's a lot of issues that we're having to deal with. We are having to deal with the railroad, we're having to deal with the state highway department because we're crossing the state highway. We're having to buy property. We're actually having to buy some businesses and having to relocate them. So they need time to do that. They need to find, places for them to go. So that's going to take time. That construction probably will not happen until 2019. We're going to spend the rest of this year acquiring the right of way and getting all the plans in place. This is the park and trailhead. It's at the intersection of Manchester and Forks Road, and I'm really excited about this because this will be one of the few places that we'll be able to park and actually access the Town Branch Trail. So it's going to have an overlook, and it's going to have a bridge across the creek. It also goes past the James Mcdonald house. James Mcdonald was one of the founders of Lexington, and history indicates that this was his house, one of his houses. This is one of the oldest stone house in Lexington. His brother had a house there in front of the Bluegrass Stockyard, so it's going to be visible from this location. So you can see how we are really tying in the history of Lexington to our trail project. Then we're going into, this will take, the phase 6 will take us to Oliver Lewis Way, which is right behind Rupp Arena. We're getting into the area now called the Town Branch Commons. And that project's actually being managed by Grant Teacher out of the mayor's office. And that's the downtown portion. It's going behind Rupp Arena and along Vine Street and then Midland Avenue. And that project was just recently funded. It was funded by a Tiger grant, which was a very competitive grant. And Lexington is one of the few cities in the country actually that got one of those grants. And so that's the primary funding for the Town Branch Commons. And we've got that broken down into about a couple of different projects. We've got the trail project itself, and then there's a private entity that wants to develop some parks that are along that trail. And one of the biggest parks is going to be behind Rupp Arena. This is some of the funding that's going on for the Town Branch Trail. We've got over $20 million federal money. The city of Lexington's putting in about $11 million, and the state's putting in about $7 million. So you can see there's a lot of money that's going into these projects, and Lexington is very fortunate to be able to acquire that funding. This is just sort of where we are. The project's the Town Branch Commons is being designed. We're about 60% complete. We're going to be going into construction in 2019, and if everything goes well, it'll be completed in 2021, which means probably 2022. So there's a lot of issues because obviously we're going through downtown. There's utilities issues, there's right of way. Actually, the sanitary sewers is going in with a major upgrade and the sanitary sewer project, so we're trying to coordinate with that. As well as KU is going in and going to be tearing up Vine Street and Rose Street with a new conduit that's going to be tearing up pretty much all of downtown. So this is a map that shows how all of these are trying to connect downtown. You can see we've got Town Branch Trail that goes out into the toward Masterson Station. The Commons is in the green, that's the downtown. And then the Lexington is going, the Legacy Trail is bounding the downtown to the north. And then we've got a little connector on Newtown Pike. So all of this will be under construction within, starting this year and probably into 2022. This is a scene on Midland Avenue. It's close, it's looking toward 3rd Street. And then the next slide will show you what it's going to look like. So this is what our goal is for that section. It's going to be a shared use trail off of the road. So you'll be separated from cars. Because it's on Midland Avenue, the right of way is really wide, we're going to be able to do some additional amenities. We're going to try to do a rain garden. And then we're going to do a lot of landscaping. We're going to try to bring in a lot of other things that Lexington's known for, such as the dried laid stone, our native grasses. And it's going to be sort of a green space. We're going to have trees and a lot of landscaping. This is looking at Vine Street, looking west. The next one will show what it's going to look like. And this is, we're actually going to separate the bikes from the pedestrians. So, in the cars. We're doing that with, because we're taking the lane of traffic up on Vine Street. And then we're having separation. So it's going to have a little bit of different feel, but I think it's going to be something that people will really enjoy. This is another shot before and after. We're using different pavement techniques. It's really exciting because I think it's really going to change the character of downtown. We're already seeing other businesses. The Y is going to rebuild their building, and they're going to change their visibility, look out over the lake of the Town Branch Trail. And so we're hoping more businesses will start developing along Vine Street and have more restaurants and bars and stuff. We're also, the Town Branch Common is connecting all of these public spaces. That's another partnership that we're wanting to tie into. We're raising money. The Bluegrass Community Foundation is raising money to develop our parks along the Town Branch Trail. The Town Branch Park needs about $30 million. I think they've raised about $6 million. And so once they have that money, then they will be developing parks that are going to be enhancing these parks. It's going to be able to tie into the trail. So that's an ongoing, separate from the trail construction part. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Legacy Trail. The Legacy Trail obviously begins here at West 6 and heads out to the Kentucky Horse Park. About 2 years ago, they built another 2 miles within the horse park. And the city of Georgetown is looking to bring the Legacy Trail up to them. But we've got another section that we want to build from here all the way over to Isaac Murphy Memorial Art Garden. And we're going to go along 4th Street to Elm Tree Lane and then turn on 3rd Street. This is going to be a little bit different because it's going to be an on-road facility. We're going to have, because the right-of-way was so narrow and we're in the residential area, we just couldn't do an off-road or a shared use trail. But because it is a legacy trail, we're going to enhance it. We're going to have painted bike lanes the whole way so that you know that you're on the legacy trail. And we just want that to be still part of our signature trail. We've had to remove all of the on-street parking on both of those streets, and that's been sort of an obstacle that we've had to overcome. I still think there's a few people out there that don't know that this is coming, but we have had a lot of the property owners, reluctantly, they have agreed. I think once it's in place, I think that they're going to really enjoy it because it's going to be an election. We're adding other stuff along the corridor. This is at North Broadway and 4th. We're going to have a little plaza area. We're bringing other features along the Legacy Trail, such as the flagpoles. They're going to be along this trail. So you'll know that you're on the Legacy Trail. You see the flagpoles, and it's a signature element of the trail. We'll have the mile markers that we will continue carrying on the Legacy Trail. And we're going to do stuff with the crosswalks. Oh, here's the park. This is what I wanted to talk to you about the park. The Rock Arena is getting ready to expand. We're actually going to be expanding to the Jefferson Street Viaduct. We're going to be taking down the viaduct. The Town Branch Park group is taking over that parking lot, the Park Street parking lot, and developing the park on the next slide. So this is what it's going to look like. Basically, just green space. We're going to open up the creek. The trail will go through here. There will be places, activities for people to congregate, just relax. This is just, it's going to feed into the Town Branch Trail. So the whole character of this area is going to change dramatically. These are just ideas of what we hope to see as it's developed, but I can see concerts happening. I can see restaurants and stuff opening up around it. Of course, it'll be connected to Rough Arena, so Rough Arenas will be able to take advantage of it. So this is really exciting. This is just some more things that are going to be happening in that park. Some more pictures of the park. That's my presentation.
What's your expectation on that park as far as completion?
Keith, will you repeat the question?
Sure. The question was, what's the anticipation of the park and when is it going to be completed? They've raised $6 million out of the 30, so they've got a ways to go. I don't know. They hope to have the park completed in 3 to 5 years. That's their goal. We feel like that once the trails start going under construction, then the fundraising will really begin. They actually haven't reached out. They're reaching out for the big dollars. Once they get rolling with the trail construction, then they're going to reach out to the public to start raising more money. Yes.
Are water stations planned along the Town Branch Trail?
Yeah, water stations planned along the Town Branch Trail. We're going to have a trailhead at Forbes and Manchester, so there will be water there. We only put the water stations where we have a trailhead. I don't know of any other, so right now we don't have anything planned. Maybe I need to reconsider that.
For the Jefferson Street Viaduct to be converted or completely removed?
The question is about the Jefferson Street Viaduct. It's going to be completely removed. So they're taking it out, and then there'll just be connections into the park from Jefferson Street, but it's gone. And that'll happen with the Rupp Arena expansion, which probably will happen later this year or early next year.
As much as I support the bicycle trail, which I think is awesome, how do you deal with parking? Parking is a real issue downtown right now, and it looks like it's going to get worse, and it's hurting much of the business downtown. Some of them are going out of business because there's no parking.
Well, actually, sure. What are we doing about parking when we build these trails? Lexington has a lot of parking available in the parking garages. They're underutilized. So Lex Park is starting a campaign to let the public know of these parking spaces that are available. Part of the parking on Vine Street is going to remain because that was one of the issues that we had to work through with the businesses. So we're not impacting that as much. Rupp Arena is building a parking garage because we're taking that parking away. So that Rupp Arena will be furnishing parking that we're taking. So.
Yes. This group really loves the roads too, to ride on in the area. One thing that would be great is to look at some injunctions on Paris Pike. There is some great roads where we have to cross Paris Pike and you have to go down Paris Pike now, half a mile, different sections or whatever. Can we look at trails that would hit some of those sections that would pull us off of that busy road? I mean, we've had several deaths on Paris Pike in the last few years. That would be a great connection for us on some of the country roads that I know this club enjoys. I mean, if we look at our routes today, we're crossing Paris Pike in a couple of places.
So what are you asking to?
I think you could put trails in the center.
Oh, trails, yes,
I mean,
yes.
That we connect,
Yeah.
off the side, bike path off the side. I mean, Paris Pike is a very wide road.
Right.
It is very scenic and has places that I think you could put trails that you would not affect the views that's there already.
There's a group, Paris Pike Commission or Paris Pike Scenic Roadway, a committee that's what their recommendation is. They have to deal with the state transportation cabinet. I don't know how successful that they would be on getting trails added in those medians and stuff. I don't disagree, but there's a lot of issues that they would have to overcome. So, but people are looking into it. I don't know if it'll happen, but good suggestion. Yeah, a couple of other projects.
Repeat the question.
He asked the question about the bridge over Man o' War on the Brighton Rail Trail. We do have a lot of other projects that are going on. That's one of them. It's going to connect Liberty Park, Hamburg to the subdivisions on the north side or east side. Liquor Barn. That we are waiting. It's fully funded. We've got all the right of way. KU has a substation that we are very, very close to. They're going to have to relocate their distribution and transmission lines. They're actually preparing the relocation plans. We anticipate that they will be doing that this summer. We expect construction either this fall or early next year. So that'll be a major connection. It's going to be about 4 miles of trail, continuous trail over there on that project. We're also building this summer a trail in Veterans Park. It's called the West Hickman South Trail. It will connect the Cumberland Hills subdivision to Veterans Park Elementary School. It's all entirely inside the Veterans Park. So that'll be done this year. We've got Southland Drive is going to have major improvements. We added bike lanes several years ago. We're going to add sidewalks all up and down Southland Drive. So, we're both promoting bikes and pedestrians. I'm trying to think of other trail projects.
I read somewhere about that you guys are doing something to North Line to integrate bicycles and bicycle pedestrian automobiles.
On North Line,
Yeah. Bicycle.
he was asking, are we putting facilities on North Line? We are doing, we don't have anything on the books right now. We also have about 8 or 9 different sidewalk projects, but North Line is not one of them. We've looked at adding bike lanes from Withers to New Circle Road. We're running into right-of-way issues on that section. When we repave North Line, we're going to be looking to widen it as much as we can just to get as much extra pavement as we can, but we don't have anything officially on the books for that section.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, there was a bunch of planning around Beaumont and trying to make that more pedestrian and bike friendly. Was there any results from that?
In Beaumont, near Beaumont, were there any additional facilities? There was plans to make it more bike pedestrian friendly. As far as I know, we don't have any new trail projects proposed. I know that they are installing a mid-block crossing at the Y, just to help people have access to that. Right now, the focus in Beaumont is getting people out of the circle onto Harrodsburg Road. I think we've got a project that they're going to add an additional turn lane. So that doesn't really help bikes or peds, but as far as I know, we don't have any trail projects over there.
Keith,
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
There are often a lot of people that are walking and bicycling, and most of those people appear to be
Nicholasville Road. The question is pedestrians on Nicholasville Road crossing New Circle. We've looked at that, and I agree. There's a lot of people walking. Until they replace that bridge, there's very little we can do. The traffic is right there next to the abutments, and so it is on the list of it's basically an unscheduled, unfunded need. But it's on our books, but I don't see anything happening until we rebuild the bridge.
Congratulations on doing what you've already done. I mean, it's amazing from my viewpoint. I've been biking a long time. You can get almost anywhere, with the exception of Nicholasville Road. Almost anywhere. By using either side roads or trails. And even the Harrodsburg funky intersection there, I even use those, and it works. It really does work. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Do you anticipate, with the changing of administration, as they change, do you anticipate any changes?
Not really. I think a lot of it is a credit to you all, because the public is demanding these facilities, and that's what we've always said. If the public wants it, it'll happen. And you all have demonstrated that, with these kind of events. And when I go to public meetings, talking about a project, the first thing that comes up, what are you doing for bikes and peds? That's the new thing that everybody wants to make sure this stuff is happening to, people don't want to get out of the cars. I mean, it's just, gas is going up, it's dangerous, and people are getting hurt on bikes, and politicians are noticing it. So I don't see any of that changing. You've got to keep the pressure on them. I mean, there's always demands for public money, but as long as we have this kind of support, we'll get these facilities.
Regarding that, as they put new developments in, is there any thoughts to use the word force, but require the developers to put in more sidewalks, trails, etc.?
We are working on that. We're trying to change the ordinances that require it. A lot of developers are already doing that. It takes time for it all to happen, but not everyone is doing it. We still have developers that are resistant, even though the public is demanding. People want to live where they can bike and walk. We are working on changing the ordinances to make that mandatory. I mean, it doesn't cost the developer any more money because they're already out there, tearing up the countryside. So, but it's just not on the books yet. But I think it will be in the next couple of years.
We have a question. Can you talk a little bit about the development that's going on at Armstrong Mill? I know that they are planning on doing a big development out there, and we've been contacted as a club about weighing in on bicycle infrastructure.
I don't know much about it because that's sort of in the planning stages. I do know that they are aware of your all's requests, our division of planning. And our division of planning sort of pushes these issues in writing letters and contacting the council person to make sure that your views are heard is the best way to go. And they can make the developer do things.
What about Palomar? If you cross Harrisburg to Palomar, you go from nice sidewalks to nothing into that shopping center and everything. It's almost dangerous to just cross into the shopping center. Is there anything planned for that?
The question is what's happening in Palomar? Are you talking about the new development or the existing?
No, it's the existing shopping center right there. We live on one side of Harrisburg, and I try to walk across and go to.
I got the same issue at Hamburg. You can get into it, but you can't walk around. And they promoted it as a bike.
You can't even get into it hardly.
Yeah.
You got to cross the road with a light and people coming in and out. Then once you're there, you get into the shopping center.
Once you get into the shopping center, it's all private. The city doesn't have any jurisdiction in there. I don't know if those attitudes will change as they develop. I'm not sure what's happening on the development across the street, but I think it's pretty much the same standard development. Until these developers realize that the more people that you can even bring in biking and walking is just good for business. All right, thank you.
So don't run off yet. I really appreciate Keith being here, and I want to use what he talked about to reiterate that the way we make things happen in this area is we have to advocate. You have to make the phone calls, you have to show up, you have to write the letters, you have to let people know you care. Because Keith can't do what he does for us unless we let the people who pay his salary know that that's what we want. It's the only way it happens. We don't have a statewide advocacy group in Kentucky right now. We really do need to change that somehow. We also don't have any organized advocacy group here other than us. The testament that you all are here today, look at how many people are here on a beautiful Saturday morning, and I know you want to ride your bikes, but you also want to learn about things. And the way that we make it better is we get engaged. We don't just come to these sessions, but we come to these sessions and we learn about what's going on, and then we go out and we advocate. So thank you all for being here, and I hope that you take a little bit of what you've learned today and advocate on behalf of us and cyclists and help Keith do his job better. Keith is a great person to have in his position because he gets it. He's a cyclist. And in the past, you had Troy here last time. I wasn't here, but Troy is the first one in a long time that's been in that position that is a cyclist, and it makes a huge difference. And Troy is very subtle in his work, I will say, in that he influences a lot of things that nobody ever thought would be influenced in the state of Kentucky, and he does it in a very subtle way so that people don't even know what happened to him. And that's a good way to advocate sometimes. And you know, you don't come in with your guns blazing, but you just do it quietly and you explain your reasoning, and you know, and that's the way that you do it. So thanks to Keith for being here, and if you have questions for him, I know that he's happy to answer them.
As always, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.